Welcome back to the poker vlog. For this episode, I'm going to be going over my 2018 stats, something that's really kind of on the fringe of what I'm comfortable with here. There are lots of ways to misconstrue the data and, lots of other kind of negative things that could come along with it, but I think it's super important to share with you. It's kind of geared more towards people who are taking poker seriously, maybe considering playing for a living. I wish somebody had given me this kind of information when I first started out playing. So a few things I want to say just to start out. One is that I don't really play poker full time anymore. I did play for a while, but as you'll see, I don't put in that many hours. I kind of split my time between making the videos and playing. So I think that's kind of important to say right off the bat. So I'm gonna break this down into separate categories. I'm gonna go over my cash game stats, my tournament stats, overall stats, and I'm gonna be comparing it to my 2017 year. All right, let's get into it. Cash game stats for 2018, I made $41,000 over 681 hours, which turns out to be $60 per hour. So first way to misconstrue this is not the amount of money that I made throughout the year overall. I have revenue streams from YouTube. They pay me dozens of dollars, so don't worry about that. I'm doing just fine. But yeah, cash games, this is where I make the majority of my money, and it's something that I definitely take seriously. So this $41,000 a year over 681 hours, that's not that many hours. I basically play poker part-time now. I split time between playing poker and making the videos. Definitely poker still is where the majority of my income comes from though. So let's see, $60 per hour. That, to me, that's a number that I'm proud of. There's things on here that I'm proud of, things that I'm not so proud of. $60 an hour is great. It is 11.38 big blinds per hour. Usually anything between like anything over 6 big blinds per hour means you're a pretty good poker player and you can play for a living basically. So, well, at least if you're playing like 2-5 or above, and that depends on your expenses and a lot of other things. $60 an hour, for me, I'm happy with that because if I played 2,000 hours, that would mean I would make $120,000 a year. That's a significant amount of money for anybody, but like, especially if you consider that I'd be playing a game for a living, and to be able to make that much money is fantastic. There's a few issues when you extrapolate that number to 2,000 hours, which is like an average work year. The first thing is that right now I'm playing in games that are pretty soft. If the games aren't good, then I usually work on a video. So I'm playing in better games when I play fewer hours. If I played more hours, I'd be playing in tougher games sometimes, so the hourly might drop a little bit. Also, if I'm playing 2,000 hours, I might be playing some of those hours, I'd be playing some of them more tired, so that might cause my game to not be the best either. All right, let's go ahead and get into the location. So Red Rock is where I spend the majority of my time. It's where I make the majority of my money, and that's one of the toughest games in the US, that 2-5 game there. There's just a lot of pros in the game. The reason why I play there is because when I first moved out to Las Vegas, the game was great. And I would go there every day, and I made a lot of friends there. I really love the room. The property's great. The dealers are great. So for that reason, I still enjoy going, and I live on the west side of town, so it's pretty convenient for me. I do go to the Strip a decent amount. I don't play there quite as much as I'd like to. Usually when I play there, just the games in general aren't quite as friendly. So I really like the social aspect of poker. And anytime you see me at a poker table, I don't necessarily start conversations, but if you start one with me, I'm really happy to engage and talk about anything. Like meetup games, very social though. And at Red Rock, I'm also very social. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and check out some of these places where I have a negative hourly in. This is not good. Most of these places I only played at one session, maybe 2 sessions, and then you have Bellagio there at the very bottom where I got smoked. Played there around 90 hours, I imagine. So that's the one exception. I had my biggest losing day that I've ever had in cash games. I lost 5,500 at Bellagio, and I just didn't run well there throughout the course of the year, which is super frustrating for me. In 510 in general, I just had kind of a tougher year than in the past. I'll go over that a little bit in more detail later. So we'll go to profit by game now. So 2.5, that's my bread and butter. I spend the majority of my time playing that. I made $65 an hour. Super proud of that number. That's 13 big blinds per hour. In 510 this year, I made $40 an hour. That's something that I'm not embarrassed about it because the sample size is tiny. So I played, I think, around like 120 hours of 510. I could have easily lost money. I mean, basically all of the statistics here, other than 2.5, are not significant since the sample sizes are tiny. So 1.3, I made $94 an hour. That's not sustainable. In 10.25, I played one session. That was the last video that I put out. I made $2.83 an hour, and that actually might be sustainable in that game because that game was great. I played one session of 510 limit, 7-card stud, and got smoked. Lost $95 in about an hour and a half. And then in 1-2, I lost $54 an hour over, I imagine, about 11 hours. So if you made money in 1-2 last year, congratulations, you did better than me. Okay, let's go ahead and look at profit by weekday. Sunday, crushed it. Monday, crushed it. Tuesday, did okay. Wednesday, $33 an hour. That's not particularly good. Thursday, I lost $44 an hour. That's not good. Usually Thursday is like my favorite day to play. I think I probably had my biggest losing day ever on a Thursday. Maybe some other big losses as well. Friday, going back to crushing it. Saturday, did pretty well as well. So that's, I think, pretty typical. Last year, I had profitable days every day. I mean, some of these days I didn't really play that many hours, like Thursday. Now let's go to the monthly profit. January, I had a really, really good month. That was my best month of the year. February, I got smoked. I actually went on an $8,500 downswing in February. We'll bring up the graphs a little bit later. That's when I had the biggest losing session ever. March, I didn't even do that well in March either. April, I got back to that's my most normal month looking at the stats now. That's when I ran probably like exactly average almost. May, I did really well. June did well. July was good. August wasn't so good. Didn't put in, I put in like a decent amount of hours for me actually, and just hardly won anything. So I think I just struggled to get anything going. And then September, October, November, and December, I didn't play very many hours. I was really focused on doing the meetup games in different places, and I got my tonsils taken out, I think in one of those months. And no, maybe that was earlier, but anyway, I was just kind of hanging out with a girlfriend, working on the videos a lot. Poker wasn't really my priority. Also, I had the holidays, so I just don't really play that often in November and December anyway. Let's go ahead and look at the tournament report now. I lost $38.78, making negative $42 an hour, losing $298 per tournament that I play on average. I did cash in 2 out of 13 of those, so that's 15%. And this report doesn't really tell the whole story. I got staked for a lot of the tournaments that I played, so this shows exactly how much I won and lost in tournaments, but it doesn't show how much money that I actually bought in for. I probably played around $20,000 to $23,000 worth of tournaments, and I cashed for, I think, around like $6,000. So if these were my true stats, I would have lost somewhere in the vicinity of $14,000 to $18,000 in tournaments. Tournaments, there's a ton of variance. I don't mind being backed. Basically, what happens is tournaments are retarded until they're not. So a tournament graph, usually it's just, you're going down, 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 and then all of a sudden you have a huge spike. That's if you're a winning tournament player. So I unfortunately have never really had that huge spike. Maybe this year things will turn around. But I really just focus on cash. I think of tournaments as a way of a form of gambling for me, basically. I think there's a ton of luck involved, just not as consistent as cash games at all. Now let's go ahead and look at the total results of my cash game and tournament stats. So I profited $37,000, making $48 an hour on average, played 773 hours, and that bankroll number isn't correct. So just don't pay attention to that. I'm gonna go ahead and check out the cash game chart for the year. So you can see in the beginning, did really well, got smoked, went on like an $8,500 downswing about, and that was in February. I got out of that pretty quickly, and then from that point on, it was pretty smooth sailing. So definitely happy with that graph, how that turned out. Tournament graph, not looking good, but that's how tournaments are. They can be brutal. You could easily go through 30 or more tournaments without cashing in any of them, so I feel fortunate that I cashed in some. Those upticks are not exactly how much I cashed for. That first one, I cashed for around 5,200, I think. That was in the marathon event, but my portion of that 5,200 looks like it was around maybe 1,200 or so. And then we'll combine that now. We'll go to the session chart for tournaments and cash games combined. It looks pretty similar just to the cash game chart, but with less money. Now we're gonna go ahead and compare the 2018 stats to 2017. So we'll go through cash first. In cash games last year, I made $40,000 over 646 hours, so I made $62 per hour. That's actually higher than I made in 2018. And that's just because I ran as good as possible in 510 and above. I knew that that wasn't sustainable. I think I made around like $190 per hour playing 510 and 1020, which is absurd. I only played one 1020 session. A buddy gave me a free roll, so I think I won $1,400 in that one. That was on video at some point. I made 10.33 big blinds per hour compared to this year. I made 11.38. So I actually did better in terms of big blinds per hour. I played more hours. My winning sessions, the percentage of winning sessions decreased by 1%. Usually poker pros are gonna win between 55 and 70% of their sessions. So to be on the high end there is pretty good. All right, by location, pretty similar, except for Bellagio last year, or in 2017, I crushed it. I made $129 per hour. If you remember my stats for 2018, that wasn't the case. I was losing money per hour. I just ran great in 2017, ran real bad in 2018. Yeah, here are all my stats for the stakes that I played. Like I said, I did great in 510, did great in that one session that I played at 1020. In 2.5, I made a lot less per hour in 2017 than I did in 2018. Every day I was profitable in 2017, and I had 2 losing months. I lost in February and June of 2017. Tournaments was pretty similar compared to this year. I actually did worse in tournaments in 2017 compared to 2018. The overall picture, I made more money in 2018 by 15 or 1600 or so. My hourly was about the same, and I put in a similar amount of hours. So really not that much difference between the 2 years, but like I said, I definitely played better in 2018, and I think I've just become a lot better player. But a few other things I want to talk about before I wrap this video up. Number one is the importance of keeping track of your stats and the importance of being honest. When I first started playing poker, I was keeping track of my stats. I would start keeping track when I would have a big win. Let's say I was playing 2-5 and I won $1,000. I start keeping track of my stats on that day. And then if I went on a downswing, I just wasn't really honest with myself. I would just scrap scrap those stats. And then if I started winning again, then I'd start like a new poker log. So that's something that you absolutely can't do if you're trying to take poker seriously. You have to be honest with yourself. Also, it's just great to have a set of stats to look at, and if you're ever in a downswing, you can look back at those times, provided that you're a winning player, that you've gotten out of those downswings. That's something that's really going to help your confidence in the long run. Let's see, what else is there? Also, for keeping track of your winnings for tax purposes, that's something that you absolutely have to do if you're playing for a living. I am a CPA. I got my master's in accounting, became a CPA after going broke in poker, and then accounting wasn't for me, so I went back to poker. Been playing poker for a living for 3 years now. Another one of my fears is that people might see how much money that I made this year and they think, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, if I played more hours, I could potentially make a lot of money, and that might be true, but poker is becoming more and more difficult. Also, I've been playing poker since I was 15. I was playing $5 and $10 tournaments with my brother and his friends, and then my high school friends. I played 3-6 limit and 1-2 no limit when I was in college in San Diego, and then started moving up in the stakes. Went through a lot of really difficult times. I went broke, as I mentioned before. There were a lot of days where I was pretty depressed, and I've had a lot of sessions where I've been swearing in the car on the way home. I've been in tears when I am driving back or when I get home. It's a very tough profession, and it's just not a get-rich-quick scheme, which I think a lot of people think it is. So my advice to anybody who's playing, particularly those guys who are like in their 20s and stuff, finish college, work for a few years, develop your resume, and if you still want to play poker for a living and you don't have any other big responsibilities, take a shot at it. Maybe it's the right thing for you. But I mean, if you look at all these books behind me, all these poker books on this shelf and this one, I've read probably 95% of them, and most of the books that I've read multiple times. So I've studied a ton, and it's a lot of effort to get to a point where you're just making like a decent amount of money for, in poker. But it's great for a lot of reasons. The freedom and being able to play a game and make money on it is super cool. It's just something that I'm worried isn't as easy as you might think it is. So that's pretty much it, guys. I imagine there's going to be a lot of comments and a lot of questions, so feel free to let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to get back to you. This is a video I feel like I was as honest as I possibly could have been with my stats, and I really just hope you appreciated it. Maybe I can do some more videos like this in the future. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't yet. Hope you're all doing well. Good luck at the tables.